What's going on? What's going on? What's going on, people? We're here in Pennsylvania. It's been a long week, man. It's been a long week. Last week, I started in Illinois. I took a load to Florida, and then from Florida, I took a load to Georgia, and from Georgia, I took a load. I had a load going to Alabama, and from Alabama coming to West Virginia, to Inwood, West Virginia, and then I picked up a load today out of Pennsylvania, Lancaster. I've headed about 100 miles from West Virginia. Well, actually from Maryland. I'm sorry, from Maryland, and going back down to Florida, to Arcadia, Florida. I got a load. After I dropped this load, I got a load going to picking up in Tampa, going to Alabama, and I haven't picked one load yet because it's too early in the week. Trying to see if they load some things more tomorrow. I want to get a load there. It's a lot of miles. Uh, yeah, man. I guess the Florida market is bad, terrible, and it seems like Georgia, it's a hit and miss. But so far, I've been lucky. Like I said, I try to book my loads, especially out of those areas like Florida. As soon as I see a decent load, I left Florida paying $2 a mile, two something, and then from Georgia to Alabama, it was like 260, something like that. And then from Alabama up here was like 215. And this load right here that I take into Florida is two something. Uh, I mean, like I said, man, I'll be honest with you guys. The market is not improving. Uh, that's why I'm not trying to jump right away unless I see a really good low. I take it. Um, I had a guy. They say he want to come to Mercer. He lives in Savannah, Georgia. Uh, he asked me, how is the market up there? I know Mercer got dedicated a contract accounts out of Columbus, Georgia, uh, Columbus, Georgia. I think Midway, Georgia. So they always got lows out of those areas. You know, and obviously, I mean, Atlanta, there's always lows coming out of there. Uh, like I said, man, if you want to come to Mercer, uh, just do your research. Do your research. If you're in a company that you got steady lows, uh, I mean, you're making good money. Uh, you got to think about it, right? Uh, I see, man. I've been talking to my friend, the spot market, Landstar, JB Hunt, and man, the goddamn market's not improving, man. It's getting worse and worse and worse. I mean, it get better for like a week, and then the following week it just go back down. I mean, I'll be honest, man. I seen lows. Pennsylvania sucks. Uh, Some spots you do get some good lows, but I saw lows here in the Mercer low board for shit $1.30, $1.20. I said, man, I'm not getting those lows. The same thing in Florida. I'm not, you know, I'm gonna change my game a little bit. I'm gonna stay like before, stay in the Midwest and Texas. I mean, I took this low going back down to Florida because I was able to get a low out of Florida and going to a good market, which is Alabama. Uh, Alabama is pretty decent. You could always get a low out of there. They be heavy lows. I'm not gonna lie. I don't know what. It seems like every low in Alabama is pretty heavy. This low is pretty light. The one that I got is 18,000 pounds. The one that I brought up here, it was light too. It was 9,000 pounds that I took from Florida up here. I mean, from Alabama up here. I guess I got lucky on that one, but it seemed like every low out of Alabama that I've been seeing the board, man, is pretty heavy, and I don't, I don't, I don't like to do heavy loads, especially long distance. You know, for me to do a long distance load, it gotta be light load. I will do a heavy load, if it's like 400 miles and it will take me to a better area, and it's paying good money. That's the only way. Because honestly, I would prefer to head to a better market and just eat the cost of the fuel than hauling cheap freight for somebody. I'm not doing that. Period, man. But God, everybody thought because of this English language proficiency, the market was gonna get better, but man, nothing's getting better. The diesel is not going down. The lows, they're not going up. I guess you know we I don't know what else people could blame the market. I mean, granted, I understand that it's hard to compete with a lot of foreigners companies, especially from Eastern Europe. They got guys they don't pay them that much, and everybody knows that. Not all of them, but a lot of them they mess with the books. They change the hours, they get more hours, stuff like that. You know, when you're doing everything by the book, it seems like you're getting punished. Um, you're getting punished, and the guys that are not the guys, the companies, man, because we can't blame the guys, honestly, man. The companies that are breaking the law, it seems like they winning. But hey, it is what it is. I can't control that. I just could control what I do, and that's what I'm gonna keep doing. I'm not. I'm not also gonna be focused in what other people doing. Whatever they're doing, that's the problem. If they get caught, that's their business, right? Granted, it affect everybody. With the rates. Because they could hold cheap freight. You know, I can. I gotta pay taxes, insurance, mortgage. Truck parking. You know, uh, so yeah, it's hard to compete. Uh, so yeah, man, I just hope that things get back. You know, like back in the days. You know what I mean? Where being a truck driver, you was making really good money. Uh, that's not the case anymore. We barely making it. We barely making it. You know, I like what I'm doing. That's what I continue doing. What I do. Uh, you know, I stay doing what I'm doing, and until obviously I get tired, or I find something else that I could make more money and be more at home, right? Because I mean, we could only try for so much, for so much. But yeah, I think this guy name was Jose. He wrote me a comment that he want to come to Mercer. Like I say, man, I don't know if he, I can't remember if his name is Jose or I think it was Jose. Uh, you know, like I said, Mercer worked for me, man. Yeah, Jose. That was his name. Mercer worked for me. Uh, I had a guy that he came uh, through Mercer out of Florida, and it didn't work out for him. He said he couldn't get no loads. Uh, you know, ran it. I think he said he was going to Landstar. I mean, you gotta, everybody gotta do whatever they gotta do, for whatever is best for them. I'm not, I don't get paid by Mercer to bring people unless you guys put me as a referral, and then if you guys stay, I think 30 days, they give you $300, and then in 6 months they give you something else, and then in a year. But if a guy come in and he goes right away, uh, we don't get nothing. But like I said, I'm not a recruiter for Mercer. I'm just here making money. If I wasn't making money, I wouldn't be here. I would, you know. I mean, but I'll be honest, the market all around, man, is tough. Unless you're in flatbed, uh, step deck, uh, those guys are doing way better. Even at Mercer got flatbed. Those guys are doing way better. I'm thinking myself about next year going to flatbed, and then on wintertime going back to dry van. That's my plan. Because honestly, I don't like to do flatbed. I did it before in the Midwest, and man, wintertime when you're in Nebraska, Wisconsin, Minnesota, Iowa, and that wind comes through and blow your tarp. That those tarps they get frozen, man. And you got ice on the flatbed. I mean, it's I give it to the people that do it all year round, man. Been doing it for years. I like it because you stay active and you work out. With dry van you don't do uh, you hardly do anything. Just close the door, strap the load, sweep the trailer. Basically that's what you do at dry van. Uh, Granted, I mean, you got some loads that are driver assisted that you got to go and help the receiver, but they're not that common. You get paid for doing that. It's not for free. You get paid for doing that. So yeah, this guy doing that crazy time around there. But yeah, guys, uh, I don't know, man. You guys comment, man. How you guys are doing, and what company you are on operator? How things are going? Like I say, I was in Landstar, man, and I don't got nothing bad to say about Landstar. Just that the trailer situation, man, Landstar is horrible for driving. You know, I heard some people complaining about Mercer that you get some trailers and inspection. You gotta do the inspection. If you think Mercer is bad, Landstar is worse. especially if you do a drop and hook, and the agent that you're doing the load tell you he got a trailer over there empty, and he doesn't. It happened to me like 3 or 4 times. He doesn't have the trailer. It happened to me in Georgia. It happened to me in Colorado. And what I say it is, when that happens, you just sitting there, or onto the trailer. People could get you a trailer, or the agent could get you a trailer. But you're gonna sit. You're gonna sit a few days minimum, and that's why I left Landstar. Like I didn't like it. You know what I mean? I just didn't like it. I didn't like to be sitting. Since I've been here at Mercer, I haven't had that issue at all. If I do a drop and hook, I got a trailer there. There's a trailer there. Uh, granted, you get trailers uh, that the inspection has expired, and you got to take it, and do the inspection. You know. However, if you got to do the inspection, Mercer, if you get that trailer new and you wasn't assigned to that trailer and that trailer wasn't got the inspection, or you got to be a maintenance done, Mercer pay you $200 for doing that. You know, Landstar doesn't pay you shit. You know, and I mean, at least when I was there, they didn't pay. I don't know, and I asked, because it happened to me. My first trailer that I went to pick up, I had to wait like 4 or 5 days after orientation to get a trailer. Some people waited 2 weeks from my class because we used to stay in contact, for their trailer. When I went to get a trailer, I couldn't get no load because the trailer had to be inspected. I took it. I mean, I was ready to make money, you know what I mean? And, I got the inspection done. And you got to take it to the places where are authorized by Landstar, just like Mercer. Mercer got their own places where, you got to take to do the inspection, That's their rule. That's things that you got to ask when your orientation or before you go to the company, so you can know what you're gonna be facing with. Like I said, I'm not gonna go and say Mercer is better than Landstar. Landstar is better than Mercer. For some people, Landstar is better. Uh, for other people, Mercer is better. But like I said, man, some things work for some people and some things doesn't work for certain people. That's how it is. That's how it is. What I like about Mercer is, man, they don't bother me. They don't bother you. I mean, at least they don't bother me. I do my own thing. I get whatever low I want, whatever low I don't want. I don't do it. I don't get dispatched. I pick my own loads. Sometimes the coordinator call me and say, "Hey, man, I got a good load. It's paying great. If I like it, I say yeah. If not, I say nah, man, good. I just gonna keep searching the low board. And that's how I do it. And granted, man, sometimes I look at the board and I drop a low. Let's say I drop a low today at noon, and it's not that many good lows for today, but I want to stay running, right? But the next day, the following day, is a better low that I'm gonna make, pay better, and I'm gonna make more money. I sit for that day. I mean, some people don't like sitting; they just want to drop a low and pick the other one. And I understand, man. I understand. I mean, not everybody got the same, way of working their business, right? We all got different ways. For me, if I see a better load tomorrow and I gotta sit for half a day, man, I just sit, because at the end of the day, I'm gonna gross more money at the week than if I jump on any load because I want to keep moving, you know. The same thing when I'm in my house. You know, sometimes I like to leave Sunday or Monday, right? If I don't see nothing great those days, I leave Tuesday. I leave Tuesday. I mean, more time, but being at home, you know, instead of sitting somewhere. I'm not just gonna move my truck if I'm not making decent money. I mean, you know, I had an agent the other day. I mean, like 2 weeks ago. He said, "Oh, we get lows because for the guys that live in Florida, uh, you know, uh, that's like going home lows." I said, "Yeah, okay, that's if they do it, that's good for them, not for me. I don't live in Florida. If I go in Florida, I gotta get more than $2 a mile, period, because it's a